Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at Tales from the Fallen Empire. Right off the bat, I don't know why I didn't pick this one up earlier. This is a great read. It's going to be by the late, great James Carpio of Chapter 13 Press. Unfortunately, the hobby lost him, I believe, in 2024. They really lost a great one with James, and I'll show you why in this book. So right off the bat, at the time of recording this, you can get an amazing deal on this on DriveThruRPG. You can get the PDF right now for $15. The soft cover is going to be $25. The hardcover is going to be $35. I think there's a sale on now for both, where you can get the PDF and the hardcover for like $25. This is an amazing deal, and I'll show you why as we jump in. It is going to be a print-on-demand style of book with the glued binding, but still at $25 at time of recording is an amazing deal. So to give you guys a little bit of flavor before I get any further into the book, this is going to be an Appendix N inspired book. Inspired by the likes of Michael Moorcock, Robert E. Howard, Fritz Leiber, movies like Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, some music inspirations, Savage Sword of Conan comics, AD&D, Dungeon Crawl Classics. So really inspired by Appendix N type content, and it shows in the writing of this book. So going through, there's a really cool prologue in here, and again, like some amazing art. I just love the art in these books. It is so cool, showing the Lord Dragon Leviathan and his once followers. In the prologue, in the beginning here, it outlines the fall of the great dragon, and basically his body becomes the land, his blood becomes the oceans. This is really well written. Lots of great lore in here. It is a fantastic read. If you're into reading, I love reading this stuff. It is so cool. This book is going to be a great source of inspiration for many judges and players. So there's going to be some fun new character classes in here. There's going to be a barbarian, a man-ape, marauder, sentinel, draki, sorcerer, and a witch. And they're really well written, with some great tables of how their skills will develop over time. There's going to be some optional rules like seafaring and lore. There's going to be ritual magic. There's going to be new patrons in here. There's going to be new beasts, new adventuring gear and equipment and weapons. So getting into the character classes, this section here outlines the different civilizations that are going to be found here. And they have a cool, interesting change here where each civilization has its own cultural traits and idiosyncrasies. And there's a neat rules section in the back that I'll get to, which really helps to foster more narrative-driven role play. It's really clever. So lots to read here about the different civilizations that can be found within Leviathan. Character classes. It also offers different skill generation methods and how to generate the stats, which I had never thought of before. Like there's roll 9d6, or there's a stat buy option, or each stat starts at 8, and then you roll 76. And you can add these points to your stats. It's really kind of interesting. I'd never heard of that before. And because of the Appendix N style of flavor of book that this is going to be, there's no clerics. There's no clerics. So it's pretty cool. Like it can be like Dungeon Crawl Classics on hard mode when you don't just have a cleric there to heal everybody all the time, which I think is really, really cool. It offers a little bit more of a gritty, hardcore sword and sorcery metal type of gameplay if you're looking for that thing. So the barbarians, they're going to get a new skill here called Savage Ferocity, which basically allows them to do Really interesting stuff. So they're going to get a Savage Ferocity die based on their level. And then they can do interesting things, like they can have Adrenaline Surge, or they can have Ironhide, which increases their armor class, Fatal Blow, Berserk, War God, like really interesting narrative type stuff, and boost your stats. So it replaces the Warrior's Deed dice, and you get a Savage Ferocity dice, which I think really like lends itself to that like barbarian style flavor. The Man Ape, again, cool art in this book. And they get like their bestial presence, so they get a bonus chance to try to like intimidate anybody who's not a man ape, as you see this like giant like gorilla type creature interacting with people. But there's a chance like anybody who anybody who fails a morale check when they encounter the man ape, we're basically going to treat the man ape as hostile and attack on sight. They get a Berserk Rage. There's a Marauder, which is like a pirate type character. There's a Sentinel, which is like, when reading it, it made me think of the Assassin's Creed type of protagonist. They get a Vow of Obscura, which basically they're spies. They lurk in the shadows, seeking for information. They have a Vow of Poverty. Really cool. And they get like, thief type skills, climb sheer surfaces, checks, find traps, tracking in the wilderness. So it just really made me think of that Assassin's Creed type of character. The Draki, which are going to be like these like goanna lizard type people. And they're tied back to like the ancient dragons. So they're going to get a surreptitious skill bonus, which allows them to kind of like blend in, not quite camouflage, but to blend into their surroundings if they're in, swamps or forests or any kind of like natural area. Really cool. And because of they're tied to the ancient dragons, they get a Magus dice, which grants them a bonus anytime they're using magical items or artifacts. The Sorcerer, which makes me think of in Conan the Barbarian, the sorcerer that's in that movie, when reading this. And they get a Soul Drain dice. So like basically like their magic is related to like the unknown and the arcane, and it leeches the life force from the things around them, whether it's like plants or animals or even possibly PCs when they cast their magic. Really cool. The Witch, which is going to be the healing class, but there's a little bit of a change on it here, where their healing skills aren't based on alignment. It's based on the phases of the moon because of the witch's ties to the natural world. I thought that was really clever. And then this is the part I was talking about, where it uses the traits and idiosyncrasies. So based on the cultural heritage of where the different nationalities are from Leviathan, they have different, let's say, like boons and banes, strengths and weaknesses, and you can use those strengths and weaknesses to role play. And then you give your players coins when they're really leaning into that role playing and using the traits and idiosyncrasies. So you can really encourage your players to role play more deeply and get into the spirit of their characters. So you're rewarding your players with like a piece of candy anytime they're role playing, which I thought was really cool. And they get to use those coins for interesting things. Like you can have up to 5 coins at a certain time, and you can spend coins to re-roll any one dice roll. You can use it to gain a battle lust, so you can add a +1 bonus to any one combat check. You could potentially, I have just the thing. You can reach into your bag, and if you want to pull out like any kind of, maybe you have like any mundane items in there, like, oh, you know what? We didn't bring any rope. And you're like, oh wait, hey, I have just the thing. And you can spend your coins to reach into your bag, and hey, voila, look, you actually have a piece of rope. Really kind of cool way to encourage your players to role play more deeply. And I like that reward system. And there's going to be new equipment in here. There's something called like a hungamunga. I actually had to Google that. It's like it looks like an African scythe with additional blades coming off it. Really kind of cool. Tiger claws, a khopesh, different prices for lodging, animals, tools. Again, some great Will McCausland art. Optional rules are in here. I thought this was interesting too and pretty clever. There's lore and lucidity. So as anyone who's dealing with any kind of like eldritch horrors or magic of the unknown, or you're staring into the abyss, you have to make a will save to not slowly lose your mind. And that will save becomes more difficult, and you gain a lucidity dice. So your lucidity dice may start at like a D10, and then as you tangle with these terrible things that afflict your mind, and you potentially start to go insane, your dice increases up the dice chain to a D12, to a D14. Every time you fail this will save, you slowly lose your mind. And if your lucidity dice goes all the way up to a D30, your player becomes like irretrievably like insane. They've lost their mind. They could potentially become an NPC and like taken out of play, which is really cool because it makes sense. Like as you tangle with this horrific stuff, yeah, you would probably go crazy. I think that's really well written. And then there's going to be some additional rules here for seafaring, which is great. To act, because I've seen some adventure modules where they outline some seafaring rules, but this one's really cool too, and it outlines the different possible ships that are going to be available, how you can modify them, how many hit points they have, their armor class, their movement, the different types of water vessels. Really good section if you're looking into doing like a sandbox type campaign where it involves naval travel. Rules for ritual magic, sacrifice, circles of power, crafting magical items. Really neat. Really, really neat. There is so much stuff in this book. And again, for like $25 for PDF and a physical copy of the book, it is really hard to beat that. Yeah, some really cool examples of magical items that you could make. Additional spells are going to be in here. Or some of the cool, like Cloaking Veil of Wilderness. You basically, as you guys are in the wilds and in the forests, you can magically hide yourselves from potential foes who are following you. Tower of Sand. Kiss of the Killing Sun, which is kind of like a little bit like Moonbeam, if you know what Moonbeam is from like 5e. Assassinate the Shadow, where you can actually like, you can cast a spell and you can attack your foe's shadows, doing damage to them. Call of the Beasts of Waste. You can summon a greater waste tiger, which like, it's like crazy. It gets 3d20 damage. Let's see here. Yeah, 3d20 damage, +5 to hit. Yeah, like amazing. Like really cool tiger. Heart of the Inferno. This is going to be a change to the spell Fireball. It's going to be a level 4 spell where it basically grants you fire immunity, and you can basically cast Fireball on your own location. So it's kind of like a danger close type of spell that you can like blow people up. Rain of Hate, where you're like this like putrid effluence falls from the sky, plaguing the lands and the countryside around you. Rage of Sandy Wastes. This one, the caster imbues the desert sands with a demonic force, forming a mighty appendage to strike down his enemies. This makes me think of the movie The Mummy, where Imhotep is casting this spell, and you can see this giant face of sand swell up, and he's like following the airplane until it finally like swallows the airplane and crashes to the ground. Really cool 5th level spell. Again, more great art. That's going to be by Doug Koufax. Patrons, outlining the different dragons. Like so much good stuff to read in here. So much. Like this entire section is just like fuel for the imagination. Like you could farm this and take so much stuff out of this book from your own home campaign. There's the map of the lands of Leviathan itself, and each of these different regions are outlined in the book with specific details on any notable locations that can be found in the regions. And more lore. Like I sit in bed with the hockey game on, and like I just read this stuff. It is so cool, really well written. Again, the hobby lost a great one when they lost James Carpio. This is amazing. More lore and more amazing stuff to read. So good. So good. Maps of cities. More maps of cities. Like look, and like again, like I said, with sites of importance, major geographical features. So much good stuff. Like really, really built out. There's a lot of effort that was put into writing this. The judges section is going to have new beasts and monsters. There's a djinn. There's going to be vampires in here, T-Rexes, golems, homunculus, kiss demons. Really cool. And that like Appendix N inspired flavor. There's going to be additional optional rules for advancing possible animal companions. Like imagine riding your horse through the wilderness with a scouting falcon that you can level up. Really cool. Some judges' advice. And then we get back into, there's a level 0 funnel in here. And there is also a level 3 to 5, the Horrors of Hod adventure in here that's cool too. Guys, like I would, for the price point of this, this is going to be an amazing source for judges. Like if you want to read and farm this, this is incredible. Pick this up. Amazing Appendix inspired classes, additional rule mechanics, like the naval section and the coin section, the idiosyncrasies and traits. A great read. I highly recommend this book. You guys check it out. Stay tuned for the next review. Like and subscribe for more. I'm Matty Boobatti. You guys have a great day. Peace out.